The pillows are fluff thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough, join the family. It's all love while we laugh at first criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please, the puppies need me. Oh, oh, please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup and hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh please, the puppies need me. Oh please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sippers from the cup and hey, hey, hey. Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the Sofa Squad. Y'all, if you could drop some number ones if you can hear me pretty, please. Thank you. You know what I'm talking about. Do. Now, y'all, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, before we even get started up in this mess. Hey, Lauren, thank you. And hey, Tux, how are you? Thank y'all for being here. Y'all welcome all the moderators to the channel. I do appreciate each and every one of you and the Sofa Squad for being here. And I feel like it's been years since we've seen each other over here. I was so used to streaming every day doing the trial. And then I've like done so many different things in the last week or so. It's been crazy. So I've missed y'all and I hope that everybody's doing well. We'll kind of get caught up before we jump into what we're going to be doing tonight. But before we get started, I'm just going to tell y'all this. The dogs right now, I'm here by myself, and the dogs are in their mode of like, oh my gosh, we're going crazy at every little sound. So just know I might have to mute a lot. Once we get into watching the video of Melanie and Ian, it'll be a little bit better with these talking parts right here. Like somebody did something where they hit the gate on the porch. Well, you would have thought. Okay. So that being said, so couple of housekeeping things. What we're doing is we're going to start going over the stuff that we're going to be covering, right? I did a poll and everybody was like very interested in number one, Stephen Stearns, and then obviously Lori Daybell. We've been following that, right? So so we're going to start reviewing some of the things like related to the case with Daybell coming up, as well as getting caught back up, at least for me, with Stephen Stearns. So tomorrow, I forget what time I set the thing, maybe 9 o'clock. I can't remember the live time or whatever. We're going to watch the latest hearing with Stephen Stearns because I haven't watched it, and that will honestly be a way for me to do it. I'm just going to be honest about that. And we're going to start getting caught up with that. Now, this current case right here that we're watching, this is going to be Lori Daybell. And yes, hey, Stitch. And yeah, it has been delayed. Stitch asked about Stearns' court date. The trial's been delayed, I think, till July. No. So, yeah, hold on, Lily. Didn't Melanie divorce and remarry because Chad and Lori told her to? There's something like that. So yeah, here's this. So Lori Daybell is getting ready to go up to trial for her attempted, murder of Brandon Boudreaux. Brandon Boudreaux is Nance, or well, how do you say it? Hold on one second, y'all. Okay, hold on. First of all, the puppies are all coming to say hello. We've got Jake, we've got Bo, we've got Luke over here. They are all Jake wants a sock in my hand. Jake, come here. They want the chocolate coffee that I have here. Their treats are right here for when they get, turned up. And they're all wanting to kill each other because the treats are in the chair. And Bo goes over and guards them and then turns around and gives everybody a look, and it absolutely sends his brother into a huge tizzy. So it's kind of funny, but also it's like, you know what you're doing, Bo, right? So chocolate coffee, I know, right? Yeah, no. So this is hot chocolate with coffee. No. Go lay down. Go on. Bo, Luke, you be nice. So, hey, RJ. Melanie Pawlowski was married to, let me get my name straight here, to Brandon Boudreaux. Brandon Boudreaux's life was almost taken as he was getting out of his car. A shot was fired. I personally believe Chad and Alex, at minimum, were in the Jeep. I believe it was Tylee's Jeep that they used to speed away from it. I don't know if Melanie was in there or not. There's a lot of discrepancies as to how the address was found. So there's all these inner workings here. Melanie Pawlowski is her name, and this is who we're going to be watching. And if you follow me for the trial, we watched some of these interviews and stuff like that during the recesses and whatnot. But we're just going to kind of get these fired back up and start slowly going over them over the next 2 weeks before the trial starts. Okay. So this is her and Ian, her new husband, sitting down. Now remember, these two got married very quickly. They were all falling right in line. Hey, Wing Beats, with all the kind of standard protocol that you see of this group of like, hey, we met and the next day we get married and this and that. And then we've watched the body cam footage of Melanie interacting with police where she was trying to get to her kids. They were at Brandon's house and the parents were like, she ain't coming in here. She ain't right. So there's a lot going on there. So I want to start with this because it's going to kind of give us some insight into where Melanie plays into this. I don't know if she's going to be a witness in the upcoming trial. I feel like she should be because obviously it's Brandon Boudreaux. So it's like, why wouldn't she be? So we'll just say, and then like I said, tomorrow we're going to watch the Stephen Stearns previous hearing and get caught up in that and just start getting caught up in all that kind of stuff or whatever. So those are the things going on. Probably Thursday night we'll watch more Melanie. And when I say Melanie, just things of that nature that relate to Brandon. We'll watch Brandon on the stand and other things like that or whatever. So there you go. Other than that, I've been out of town. Now, let me tell you all this real quick today. So I have a friend who I used to work for. Hey, John. She and her husband, they own an estate sale company. Okay, so I used to work for them, and they called me up today, and they were like, or maybe yesterday or whatever. I don't know, maybe Sunday, whatever it was. Anyways, she was like, hey, we're kind of in a pinch. We're doing customer pickup, because they did an online auction. She's like, would you be interested in coming and helping us? So she's asked me like several times recently, but I'm always busy. And I was like, I said, you know what? I can do it. Like those clouds have opened up and it'd be great to see everybody. So I spent the day, I went to the gym and then went and basically like just, was on my feet running back and forth, doing customer pickups, whatever. Okay. So y'all, this place, when I tell you, this house was on 200 acres and it was a horse stable. 6-stall horse stable. The top was where the people lived, like the house above the stables. Then it had an apartment in the front of it, like maybe for, I don't know, like the whoever. And then another thing in the front of the house for like, I don't know what you would call it. It was so equestrian. And I mean, I was just like, oh my God, this is heaven. Okay. Hey, Amy. Hey, Stitch. This is heaven, right? It was so cool. Y'all, it was so neat. Oh my gosh. So anyways, I just thought that was really fun. So that's why I was doing that all day long. So if I'm kind of like, you already know, I'm always tired anyways, but I'm especially today like, oh my gosh, it's so good to be on the sofa. So anyways, that's what that is. Yeah, I didn't grow up with horses, but my cousin and my family in Florida did. And And so I've ridden like quarter horses and stuff like that. And so, it's just, it's just a vibe, right? So I always appreciate they had like all the saddles, and I mean the stuff. This was one of those where I was like, this is some nice stuff that people were getting, right? So, and the couple, I guess they just, they're older and just, how it goes. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I know, right, RJ? Yeah, if I please, not yet some ideas, but definitely this one's. We're not credentialed. What I say in the thing, and we're not credentialed quite enough for this kind of house, right? I mean, it was great, and it wasn't like super fancy, but it's like, I mean, like horse stuff, it's expensive, right? Like just the barn and everything, right? Oh, also, y'all, hey, Down Under, totally forgot. So tomorrow's video is like a very quick overview of the mushroom case that is currently in trial finally after all these years, right? So we're going to be doing probably updates from the truck on that because their court system isn't like ours. So there's like podcasts that come out every day that kind of sum up what's happening, and maybe today will be the first one. But I'll kind of do some updates from the truck on that because that's going to be interesting. And I can't wait to hear what they do about that. So be on the lookout for that. So anyways, Audra, I hope you're doing well. Okay, where'd y'all go? It's Indy. What's up? Oh yeah, where'd everybody park? What's up? Where's everybody parked at? Hey Wampo, how's it going? I hope y'all been going. It's so good to see everybody. Let me tell you what. Like I said, it feels like weeks. I've been to Asheville, High Point, and then back, and then today work. So it's just been crazy. It's been crazy, but it's been good. Okay, here we go. I'm just like reading your comments. I'm just like hanging out. Here we go. So again, yeah. So Holden, how are you doing, Holden? So she is married to Ian Pawlowski. This is who you're gonna see, and remember, so this is Lori's niece that we're gonna be watching, and this is the interview they did when this first started popping off. Okay, this is the very beginning of things here, but it just helps to give some insight into like what's going on. I got a jury notice for the mushroom that couldn't go through. Oh my god, Nicole said she got a jury notice for the mushroom lady's trial. Couldn't go though because I've got special needs child. Totally understandable. Let me tell you what. That case, I mean, literally, y'all, like the stuff that's coming out of so far, when I'm seeing Australia, they're like a small town has been set up here, like in the town that's following this case, like of reporters and podcasters and all this stuff. Yeah, so it's apparently underway this week, but again, they keep it on lockdown. They keep it on lockdown, right? She didn't want any older men on the jury. Oh my god, I can't wait to listen to it. Oh, there's no way. Britta says, can you imagine if we got called up for the Stephen Stearns trial? No way. It means, honestly, can you imagine? I feel so sorry for those jurors. God forbid the people that have to look at those horrifying images on this phone. Can you imagine going to it doesn't even matter if it's Stephen Stearns, right? Can you imagine going to court? Like you're like, okay, I'm going to be a juror. What's this about? And then them talking about, and they probably warn you, like, your kids can be graphic, whatever. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna do my civic duty. And then having to look at that, I wonder if they block it out in any way. There's no way. You would be scarred. Because here's the thing, like the people in the courts, sorry, I'll shut up after this. The people in the courts, I'm talking judges, I'm talking lawyers, I'm talking prosecutors. Not that I'm saying they're numb to it, but it's like what they do. So they're used to seeing things that the general public does, like a dark side of life, right? You could probably say the same for us who watch and follow true crime, but there's a difference in, at least to me, like, right, I try and avoid like say evidence photos, or like I don't want to look at, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want to look at that stuff. So if you're in court, it's a different story. You're seeing all that. And I get it's part of the process. There's a vast difference, I think, even to me, of bothersome of seeing someone who's been, brutally killed versus something like the people are going to have to watch or see in the Stephen Stearns thing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way you're gonna come out of there being like, the devil himself is real. I have seen it. Gives me goosebumps. This is what I want to know. Okay, and I swear to God, I'll shut up here. Okay, I'm sorry. It's like I'm excited with you. Okay, I am dying to know, and this we're talking about the mushroom case right now. What Ian is saying, and Ian's the survivor in the mushroom case. What he says was said at the dinner. What he says is said at the dinner. After she's watching the people, the beef Wellington, the mushroom case, Frankie. After she sees them eating, does she get sinister and dark? Right? Does she start talking some crazy stuff, thinking, oh, they're about to be dead soon? I'm gonna start talking about this time that they did so and so. Right? I am dying to know what that man has to say. Cannot wait to find out, because I think a lot's gonna hinge on that. I think a lot is going to ride on what he has to say. Oh, Crystal. I'm going to do a quick overview of it tomorrow. If you go way back in my stuff, I did several videos on it when it first came out. And I'm not trying to sound like whatever, but there's been a lot of like food killings, you know what I'm saying, a poisonous thing. Here's the thing too, like, the studies that say like women are more prone to kill with poison and whatnot. So we have her that did the beef Wellington. Then the woman was in Brazil that did the pie, and then she ended up killing herself. Then there was some Easter egg thing recently. Okay. But yeah, she completely got this death count mushrooms and killed off most of her in-laws. And then crying about it, talking about this. Tried killing her husband several times too. He was on the guest list. He didn't come, thank God. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Now, okay, that's where I'll shut up after the show. Okay, side note. No, this is not an intentional killing. Yes, it's intentional. Okay. So, and if you might be like, oh my God, we've heard this story too many times, Paul. Okay, so my aunt, who, God rest her soul, no longer with us. This is that she lived in Florida. Okay. One Easter or whatever, her neighbor was like, oh, hey, we're going to have like a little luncheon or whatever after Easter. So she used the Easter eggs to make the egg salad. Okay. So my aunt goes over there. They eat lunch. They leave. My aunt's basically, now this is my dad's sister. Okay. So and I'm young when this happens, right? So this is like translated through the third person. Okay, so long story short, my aunt basically is like calling later. Somebody calls later at night. She's in the hospital, almost dead. Basically, they got food poisoning from the eggs. And like, I don't know how this works, but like, let's say if like one of the eggs was like the rottenest part of the egg, she got that. So the other people got definitely sick, but she got like, we're taking you to the hospital. Oh, this one, you're almost dead. We have to get you to a whatever hospital. So, yes, she almost died from the food poisoning from the eggs from the neighbor. Can you imagine how embarrassing? I'm not trying to like reduce it down to that, but like imagine like when it's all said and done, the neighbor being like, what do you say, right? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me give you a gift certificate. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, how embarrassing. But I mean, my aunt wasn't, it was like her friend, right? So it is what it is. But it was bad. She almost died. I'm guessing I forget what it was, but when they found out like how it was almost like over a week old, I don't know what it was, but it was almost like who served that? Kind of a thing. What are you gonna do? Anyways, okay, so we are getting ready to watch Melanie Boudreau. I'm sorry, keep saying it. Formerly Melanie Boudreau. Hey, Northwest. And now Melanie Pawlowski and her husband. Well, I'll stop and talk along the way, but you can also tell me to shut up. It's totally fine. All you need to see is that look right there in the face. Done. Live chat's over. Right. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Can't wait to talk.
Results which came out just the other day concerning your All right. Well, the first thing I want to start with, Melanie and Ian, is your reaction to the autopsy results, which came out just the other day concerning your uncle, Melanie. Were you guys surprised at all? What did you think when you heard the news?
It was relieving, but we weren't surprised. We knew that it would be natural causes. We had no reason to think anything otherwise. I think it was just a comfort, like,
they're talking about Alex and his death and the autopsy that said natural causes. I don't believe it.
Finally, like, this part is over, and it's one more stepping stone to just keep revealing truth. And then, the second half of the day, they open it up and say, well, it's still under investigation again. It feels like every time we get a little bit of good news, there's a little bit of drag to that too. But overall, just relief and comfort to be in the right direction.
You mentioned.
Now, he also, keep in mind, he turned around. He recorded some stuff. He's lucky he's still alive. Her husband still with her. He's seen the video. He's had to have seen the tape too of her. I can't roll my eyes hard enough. Let's keep going.
And that they still said they're investigating, and there's going to be people watching that still don't believe those results or say there's something more here. What do you say to them?
I mean, you see, you post truth out there, and people have already made up their minds and decided. Ian made a bad joke, like, well, did they test for all the invisible poisons? Like, it's people will still think whatever speculation or rumors or whatever they want to believe, even when it's right in front of their face. And I was talking about this too. I was like, when Tylee and JJ show up, again, and you're here again, I don't know if people would even believe it. They'd still, go on with their own, still a cult. It's still, they've done something bad. And
obviously, for those who are maybe new to this is done before they knew it, before JJ and Tylee had been found. Okay. So this also will give you insight into how it's like, no, Lori wouldn't do that. Like, the whole 9 yards.
A lot of people already made up their minds, and we just want to come on and share what we do know and share truth, and hopefully we keep getting opportunities where people will be open to that and be able to listen.
So Melanie, Alex was your uncle, and from the beginning, a lot of people have thrown questions out there as to why he died. Was this was this just a big coincidence? Did you from the beginning think it was, or in the back of your mind, did you think there might be something more here?
There was absolute shock when I got a phone call from Zulema, and she was telling me I had spoken with Alex earlier that day, and he had seemed okay, but I knew that week before he was having trouble with, he was overall a pretty healthy guy, but stubborn, like wouldn't ever, put a Band-Aid on if he's bleeding everywhere, and, wouldn't do regular checkups. He just was a tough guy. And when he told me we were going to meet up at one point, I was going to bring him some of his stuff because he had moved down to be with Zulema, and he then said, hey, let's not meet up halfway, let's wait, I'm not feeling very good. And that was big for him to say that, because he never would say that he wasn't feeling good. So the week before, he said, I just kind of have tightness in my chest or having trouble breathing. He said he had bent down to get a water bottle, and it took the breath out of him. And Zulema was absolutely worried and was like, you need to get to the doctor. And he was like, no, I'm fine. And the morning of, it was really kind of, I called him probably every other day once he wasn't in Arizona anymore, in Idaho. And the morning I'd called him, Ian was at work, and he was somebody I could kind of you could tell him anything. He's like a vault.
Thank you, Lauren.
And I was just openly telling him about, things in my new marriage, things that were, challenging, or things that were going really well. And he was just my best friend at that point. And he shared some things with me that were, I just felt like write them down when he started talking to me. I don't know why I felt impressed to do that, but
like
he
what?
Just said, he said, Melanie, the most important thing in your marriage is to be loving, be supportive, and be patient. And he kept repeating that, and I was like, I need to remember that always. Like, it always comes back to that. And it was his last words to me, and I didn't know that, but it was really just special, like that I felt, like, hey, write that down. And he just said, everything's going to be fine. And, just keep moving forward in faith. You're going to have your kids back soon and everything's going to work out, and just go on faith. And later that evening, I get a call from Zulema, and I think I was excited. I started telling her about my day, and then it just shifted, and Ian was there, and I kind of just went into a shock for a little bit. And I fell to the floor, and I just felt all the feelings of losing such a close friend. And I hadn't been very close with Alex most of my life. I was closer with my aunts and even my other uncle, but after starting to have challenges in my last marriage, Alex was a truck driver, and you could just call him. He always answered, and he would just talk and let you talk to him. And I do talk a lot, and he would let me just vent, and he would say, he never would put somebody down or judge them. He would just say, well, here's how you handle that situation. And like, nobody could do any wrong in his eyes. He just was very positive, and somebody that was so influential to be around when I'm going through the hardest thing and missing my 4 children. He just picked me up every day.
How's Zulema doing?
I love Zulema with all my heart. I feel like it's been really hard. She hasn't been able to really mourn and grieve the loss of her husband, and all the accusations going out there.
She barely knew the man. That's my thing. Listen to her talk. Like, so first of all, when she was like, oh, well, some of Alex's last words to me or whatever, it's like, I'm talking about your marriage. And I'm like, the things that this man has seen and done, and he's over here wanting to talk about leaving you with imparting words on being patient and kind in your marriage. Seriously. Now, granted, we don't know what all anybody knew or this, how the other, whatever. Right. But now this is not proven. This is me sofa speculation. She has not been charged, all the things, allegedly, all that type of stuff. Right. I don't see how she didn't know a lot of the stuff that she claimed she didn't know. I don't see that. Right. But I wasn't there. So there's that. Okay, let's keep going.
She doesn't really feel ready to come forward and share that story. And I respect that, or share her feelings on everything. And she's still just trying to get through every day and missing her husband. But she's doing okay.
I want to kind of back up to hear a little bit about each of you guys, because there has been some limited information that's come out about each of you. But would you mind just telling me about yourself, how you guys met, how you ended up in Idaho and then back in Arizona? Ian, could you start?
Yeah, absolutely. So
now she looked at him like, you better not mess up. You better not say something out of line. Now, this is the part. If you're new to this case, let's just listen to how he explains this. How fast.
So I grew up in Southern California, and I got married in 2010, moved to Idaho in 2011 with my ex-wife, Natalie. We had 2 kids together. So right now they're 9 and they're 7, Max and Lily. They're fantastic kids. I miss them a lot right now, and I would love to get them down here to Arizona. But so yeah, we were there with our kids. I started school.
Now, I don't know the status of both sets of their kids, but imagine your other person starts going out with someone involved with this BS right here. You think you're going to be sending your kids down to stay with your ex-wife or husband, however it works out for you in that situation? He's talking about, oh, I miss them a lot. Honey, there's a reason they're not there. Okay, at this stage of the game, I don't know what's going on now, but I know at this stage of the game, ain't no way. Okay, let's keep going.
At BYU, Idaho, I never finished. Just work, school, and being a dad was too much, and I just figured I'd work. So Natalie and I hit our 9th anniversary, and on our 9th anniversary, she asked for a divorce. And so we worked our way through that. that started in March of 2019. Got all wrapped up in July, and then I decided I'd try to jump back into dating a little bit. Talk to I was talking to my friends and my family, and just kind of saying, like, I want to get back out and meet people. It wasn't really my goal to find a wife. I just wanted to find people to hang out with. And at the same time, I'd just gone through a really rough divorce. It kind of tore me up, and I'm trying to put my life back together, and maybe looking for a little bit of validation, just somebody to talk to who's not going to judge me and push me away. So I downloaded some dating apps and found Melanie on one of them and asked her on a date that day. I figured, I hate talking to people through text. I don't feel like I communicate well over text, or I can't. I'm sarcastic a lot, and so that doesn't come across well in text sometimes. So I just wanted to. I feel better meeting people in person. So invited her out to dinner. We went to Mackenzie River.
Sorry, what month was this, Ian?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this was November.
So Melanie, you had moved to Rexburg.
Yeah, the first week in November, I moved to Rexburg.
So you both were already in the same town together.
Right.
We were across the street from each other.
Yeah, we actually found that out.
And you didn't know that?
I didn't even know, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you went to Mackenzie River.
Yeah, she was just, I don't know how to describe it other than she just, everything just kind of clicked with her. We'd had so many similar experiences with the way our divorces went, the way the last year of our lives had gone with just the struggles, and we understood each other. I found no judgment with her, no preconceived notions. She just wanted to get to know me, and we spent the next 2 days basically just talking constantly. It was,
Hey, Orange Rose.
I guess with
Thank you.
The previous people I dated, it felt like I was trying to make up reasons to continue to date those people, to go on a second date or whatever. But with her, it was just easy. It clicked, and I didn't have to try to do mental gymnastics to justify a second date.
And then you got married shortly thereafter, right?
Correct. So, yeah, one of the things that I really loved, one of the things that I guess that led to us getting married so quickly was our children. I learned that, she had 4 kids, and I absolutely love that. She said she saw my dating profile, that one of the first things I put in my bio, I guess, is that I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids. I love them with all my heart. And I want them to be a big part of our lives. And I didn't want anybody to be a part of my life that wasn't going to be supportive of my role as a father to my two children. And it's the same with her. I still haven't had the opportunity to meet her kids yet, and I can't wait. But seeing her interact with my kids for the first time, we came to Arizona. I came down with my 2 children to have Thanksgiving with my family, and she came down a few days later. And on her way down, she was talking about how she didn't have anybody to go to Thanksgiving with, and so I invited her to come be with my family. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. And so she showed up, and my kids immediately fell in love with her.
Can you imagine what the family's saying afterwards? Imagine like a week. So she comes to dinner week later, whatever it was when the news broke. All this trauma comes out, and you're like, she was sitting at our dinner table. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine? There ain't no way. Now you heard how quickly. And here's my thing: if somebody wants to jump into a marriage, whatever, you do you, boo. But in the context of this situation with this group, they all get married. Like, I'm talking like you meet, and it's almost instant, right? It's like, it's crazy. Okay, here we go.
They, my daughter, she can be a little shy, a little standoffish, and just immediately was attached to Melanie. Wanted to just take her around and show her everything she'd been doing, play games with her, tell her everything that's on her mind. My daughter she has no filter, so she'll just say exactly what she's thinking. And just to see Melanie interact with my kids, it just made me fall really hard, really fast for her because she's just so sweet and good with them.
At one point, I had gotten out of the car to go run into the gas station on our road trip, and Lily said to Ian, "Don't blow it, Dad."
Well, I don't think you blew it. You guys were married shortly thereafter, right after Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. November 30th.
November 30th.
We were. It was really fast, and you know, I was in this, you know, battle still with my ex, and didn't have my kids with us right then, but we felt both ready. We pray about decisions together, and we felt, you know, that it was right that we should get married when we did. And you know, Vegas wedding wasn't dreamy or anything, but our goal was to be sealed in the temple, you know, one day. And so we said, let's do this while we have Max and Lily, and then when we have Braxton, Brighton, Blake, and Breeze too, let's all be together when we have that special day where we can be sealed together.
Now, were Alex and Zulema married? Did you guys have a joint wedding, or was that separate?
So Alex and Zulema had been dating for several months, and kind of Alex was very ready to marry Zulema, and she was a little bit like, you know, I'm going to wait till I get an answer. I know I'm supposed to be with you, Alex, but I'm going to wait till it feels like the right time. And they had talked about, do you want to get married in Jackson or, you know, Las Vegas? And it just so happened when they picked their date and had it more planned than Ian and I did. And, you know, the coincidence of us picking the day right after them wasn't planned or anything. It was just what happened, and they were there, and we had made the decision in Arizona during Thanksgiving, and we said, let's do it. And while we're there, you know, we need a witness, and Alex and Zulema are there, and you know, this isn't our big wedding day. This is just the beginning of our lives together, and we'll have that special moment when we're all together as a family.
Okay, so they got married the day before you guys did.
Yes, I believe so.
So one day
we got married on the 30th, and I think they got married on the 29th.
And was it just an intimate ceremony for?
Now, here's another thing too with this. Okay, so you know how and when I say like them, like Lori, Chad, this whole crowd, like before, you know, obviously before Alex was dead and all those. This whole thing about everyone's getting hitched, the 144,000, blah, 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 blah. One reason, and Zakia brought up a good point, they're wanting to get married quickly because of premarital sex. I think that's a huge part to it too, because I forget about that component. And I also think that and I don't even know if this part's true or not, but to me, the way that everything was lined up with Lori and them, where it's like you meet somebody, you get hitched, you do all this, that was like part of the Lori Chad cult. To me, their behavior, meaning Melanie and Ian in this instance, was showing like the more involved in the belief system that they're letting on. You see what I'm saying? Because I think at minimum, okay, I think that Melanie was, and probably Ian too, I mean, who knows, before he got obviously hooked up with her, was way more involved in the belief system of the stuff that we saw coming from Lori and Chad and Zulema and all these people, right? Which then also makes you very fearful. So like when he's talking about his kids coming to visit, she's talking about, I couldn't get to my kids and but all that. Like, it's very scary. It's very scary. Again, yes, and hey, another Amy. So the people that we're currently watching are Melanie Pawlowski and Ian Pawlowski. Melanie Pawlowski is Lori Daybell's niece, and she was married to Brandon Boudreaux. Lori Daybell is facing charges in a trial of trying to attempt to take Brandon's life. This is Melanie's new husband in this video. This time frame of this is the children, meaning Tylee and JJ. They were dead at this point, but nobody knew that. Nobody knew what took, like, they hadn't been discovered yet, the remains yet. So you hear her talking. This is in that time where, like, Alex was just, you know, he was alive and part of it, and then he's dead. And so this is that whole brand new zone of the case, I guess you could say. So there you go.
For the both of you, like any extended family or, you know, friends, or was it just kind of a small group?
Yeah, it was just for Ian and I, we had 2 or 3 hours. We got a dress and a tux and got the kids all dressed up and their hair done. And it was a small, I I think the lucky little wedding chapel, I think is where we picked, and it's a small room. And it was just very intimate, quick, not anything crazy or anything, but it was special to us. And then Alex and Zulema just were there as our witnesses. And it was just planned last second. We didn't have time to invite a lot of people. It was just on a whim decision and felt like it's what we should do.
Now, Melanie, were you born and raised in Arizona?
I wasn't. So I was born in Utah, but lived in Phoenix as a baby, and then lived in California for a while. And then Seattle is where I spent a lot of time growing up.
And your mom unfortunately passed away when you were young, right?
Yeah, so my mom got really sick a couple years after having me. She almost died having me. She had a deep vein thrombosis, blood clot, and the Cox side doesn't really have great genes. Like there's a lot of, my grandpa's had cancer and blood clots, and initially when we heard about, I believe my grandfather was told by the police that Alex, they had thought that he had a lung clot was the reason for his death initially. So that's what we thought this whole time, that, it kind of runs in the family, and that makes sense. But yeah, I think my parents had a rough time when my mom got really sick with type 1 diabetes, also with gastroparesis. She couldn't have the ability to absorb nutrients, and she was in and out of seeing doctors and in and out of hospitals, and I think it was hard on my dad. I know there was some infidelity on his part, and they tried to work through things.
Hey, Brenda.
And they just couldn't make it work. And I spent a lot of time in the Cox home. So Barry and Janice, my grandparents, they lived in California, and I lived with them for a while. And my mom was sick, and I remember my dad traveling a lot for his job. And my mom finally felt like she was healthy enough when we moved to Seattle, where my dad got a job there. And it was just me, my mom, and my dad. My mom couldn't have any more kids, and I was kind of their baby. And when I was 6, my dad I remember, that's about as far back as I can remember, is the night my dad took me, and he said we were gonna go get gas, and we never came back. We left my mom there, and he turned the power off. He took all
Thanks
of
for
the
being
credit
a member
cards
for
to
9
the
months,
planner,
Sandy.
and just left her there. And she was really sick to the point she couldn't really take care of herself. And we hid out in a hotel for a couple months. And then from then on started a nasty custody battle between them. And, as when you're little, I just remember just being quiet, not really understanding what was going on. And I don't remember what went on in the court process. I just remember not seeing my mom a lot. And she fought as much as she could. And I think she got so sick, ran out of money, and things just weren't, just in her case. And I grew up with just, my dad, and then later my stepmom when my dad got remarried. And I heard all manner of things about the Coxes, and my dad kind of cut off communication with them.
Thanks for being a member.
These were people I grew up with, and I knew they were good
Momo.
people, and I loved them. And it didn't feel right, a lot of the lies I was being told about them. But
Stacy's her mom.
my mom later passed away when I was 9. Lori was the one that called and told me the news. She said, your mom's in a coma, and she's probably not going to make it. And I remember that phone call, and I've always loved and trusted Lori. She's always been somebody that is just so much unconditional love on her end, no judgment, no drama, and I admire her so much. And I don't think I would have wanted to have that phone call by anybody else to have to give me that news. And I remember flying up with my dad, who took me to see my mom last time in hospice. She was out, and she didn't come out of her diabetic coma. There was no, it wasn't a surprise. My mom was always very sick and on the line of, we don't know how long Stacy's gonna last. And after age 9, and my mom passed, my dad didn't let me talk or see any of that side of the family. And I didn't know why, other than he was saying all sorts of things about them. And finally, when I was 15, I found my Uncle Adam on a radio I think I Googled him. We had computers at high school, and I found him, and he was one of my favorite people in my life that I remember growing up. And then it kind of started connecting all those ties that I had gone so long from age 9 all the way to 15 without. And it's like we jumped right back into it. And for all those years, they didn't have me, and they tried sending packages, and my dad would return them. And I never understood why. I just felt something off in my heart, but no judgment or resentment on, why my dad did the things he did. But I wish to this day he would, just say it for what it is, just be real about it, because that's how we grow. We go through these experiences, and Ian and I that's the most important thing to us. Like, we're not perfect. I'm terrible about being nervous on, national television. I'm trying to get better at it, and it's hard to see all the comments people say about you, but we're trying to just be real and be open about everything now.
So was it kind of like Lori raised you after your mom passed?
Mainly my grandma Janice. Lori was young and kind of, busy with her life, but she'd take me and go do fun things, and also my Aunt Summer, and my Uncle Adam and I wasn't super close with Alex. I didn't ever get his jokes. He's a comedian, and I just was always like, it probably takes me a minute to process, like longer than most people, and so I would never really connect as much with Alex as I did with Adam or Lori. But yeah, they were so important in my life, and to not have that growing up and have that confusion of, what happened and why did things go south. And up until 3 years ago, I didn't know that my dad had been telling everybody this other side of, hey, your mom died of anorexia, and, she was mentally ill, and, basically made himself look like the hero. I took you away from her, and I knew that didn't feel right. And I was kind of in shock.
One thing that I often think of with Melanie's story, because I see a lot of people saying in the comments about, oh, this is adding up, making sense, like stuff like that, whatever. When you listen to her story, and again, this is we're doing surface level, we're taking what she says face value, whatever. Pardon me. It's almost like the family shield, like in the beginning years that she's talking about, before mom died and all that. Dad shielded her from this other part of the family. Whatever happens. She gets into contact with the Loris and all this type of stuff. It's almost like, I don't know any other better way to say it than like an identity crisis, to where whatever it is, it's like your internal compass. It's almost like Lori was, able to come in and essentially be like, no, well, here's this. Here's your new truth. Here's this. And it's almost like, she's, the sense that I get from her is wanting to belong so badly that it's like, I'm jumping on the Lori wagon. Excuse me. I'm jumping on that. You see what I'm saying? Her story is very complicated and very layered. If some of the people involved in this, if you ask me, do I think they really believe some of the stuff going on? I think that she's one that, pardon me, that because of her start, that some of it, and I'm not saying that makes it right, wrong, or indifferent, because at the end of the day, if it's like, oh, well, because of her start off, she really believed this stuff or whatever, I still stand by. And at the same time, yeah, best thing that the kids weren't around. You know what I'm saying? Because we already see what Lori and them believed in and where it ended up, right? And so that's where I'm like, oh, if things had not gone the way they did with children being separated, and I'm talking about hers and Ian's, and away in the beginning, like when we get some of the stuff where we see like they couldn't get access to their kids, this might be an even more tragic story, right? And I think that she just doesn't have an identity. That's why she even though she's like in this, and there's this interview several parts long. Well, we're gonna keep watching it, but it's like she's saying what she thinks you're supposed to be saying, but because she doesn't have a solid grounding of, I am Melanie, this is me, this is who I am. It's so infiltrated with Lori and all this gross stuff. It's like that's still going on over here. So in my opinion, if Lori was like, oh no, Brandon's got to go, honey, we need this to do that. Okay, well, here's his address. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, let's keep going.
That everybody in the whole world thinks that she died of anorexia, and she's not here to tell her story. And I have all of her medical records and all the court documents. And it's hard seeing the same patterns of what happened to my mom now happened in my life, where my kids are taken away from me wrongfully, and things are said about me that aren't true. But I know my kids know who I am, and my own father is helping my ex-husband right now, and they've had my kids at their house and don't tell me, and I just have bullying text messages from my dad, and that's upsetting. I feel like you should love your kid no matter what. If all these false claims, if they were even true, if they really thought I was some crazy and in a cult and done something horrible, shouldn't they just reclaim me with kindness as their daughter and love me anyways? But the fact that these things aren't true, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I don't have, a good relationship right now where I feel like I can keep them close in my life right now. I'm kind of just loving them from a distance and letting everything play out. And I don't judge anyone for all the things that they're scared of or confused about, because this case is heavy and it's unlike anything. I never thought this would be our lives. Like it's unreal.
I do want to ask you, there have been other reports about your mother's death, that somehow Lori may have been tied into it, or whatever's killing all these other people. Your mom may have been the first victim. Can you address that?
Yeah, she died of natural causes. It's on her death certificate. But she had type 1 diabetes, and with gastroparesis with that, like she went to every type of doctor. She even went and went to, I think she got tested for eating disorders, for everything she got tested for. And it was so clear what she had. It was so far from anorexia. It was a total manipulation of, she's tiny and can't absorb nutrients. And he took us and ran with the story of that. And it's hurtful and it's untrue. And she's not here to tell that truth. And, reading through court documents, there's so many things he could have said, because we're real and open about our family and we make mistakes. He could have said, true things, but it was mostly just lies about everything. And that's similar to what's happening in my family court case. It's the same pattern. And I think we go through these things to learn and experience, and seeing that same exact thing happen now in my life, it's too ironic that it's the same exact pattern.
Okay, I'm going to put part 2 on in a second. Notice this, y'all, and this is the other thing I'm talking about, how identical this conversation is right here. The text messages, the abusive text messages from my dad. I'm loving him from afar. She's not here to tell her truth. It was really this, but they said it was this. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, and you already know. Who do you think that these words came from? Who does this exact stuff sound like right here? This is what I'm talking about. Like, it's almost like she was a blank canvas, unsure of herself, and Lori painted. And her talking about with her kids and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, girl. No. 100% no. And again, I don't know what her deal is now. I'm not friends with her. I don't know her. I don't know the family. So maybe she's completely different. I don't know. But I know that in this interview at this time years ago, this was like she pressed play and Lori's playbook started coming out. And the way that she's unnaturally smiling through this is very odd to me. Even not knowing, because at this time, allegedly, no one knows in this realm and with them what took place with the remains of the children have not been found, right? There's this oddness about her demeanor. Yeah, Danielle says she thinks she's a celebrity. There's a level of like just the attention seeking, right? Okay, so let me hold on one second. Please hold. I said, please hold. I said, your call's important to me. I said, please hold. I'll be right with thee. I said, please hold. Oh, hold on. Scare me to death. Okay. Again, this is Nate Eaton, East Idaho News.
Let me shift a little bit here to JJ and Tylee. When's the last time you guys saw them?
So Ian's never met
I've never met him.
Tylee.
You've never seen them. Okay. What about you, Melanie?
So the last time I saw them was they were packing up their home in Chandler where Charles had been shot. And I remember how emotional it was. Just, it's hard to be there. This is where this big thing happened. And Tylee was like, it's hard being here in this house after that situation happened. And Lori had, said, hey, I think she'd thrown out Ida, but I didn't know for sure because sometimes she's had to do things to protect her kids. The court systems haven't protected her, and Tylee and Colby were abused by their dad, Joe, and court system didn't protect them there. And she's had this history of doing everything she can to protect Tylee and JJ. And I've always seen that in her since I was a teenager, and she flew me out to go nanny for Tylee and JJ. Like, I've never seen any evidence or anything at all that tells me that Lori would purposely harm children or anything. And so it's hard, all the attacks being out there and seeing her. I still see her as the wonderful mom she is. When I see her come in court, I'm looking for something off that I'm not seeing, because I've had every fear of where could they be. But the last time I saw them was the end of August as they were moving, because I think they moved up that first week in September. And
hey, did you visit Rexburg at all before? Like, did you come up and visit Lori before you moved here?
I did I think on a weekend where I didn't, because we had 50-50 custody, my ex Brandon Boudreaux and I. And so anytime I didn't have, wasn't my time with the kids, I was a wreck and just missed my kids. And so I'd try to go hike in Arizona or go on a trip. And I did go visit Lori for a weekend up there. And she said, just come, try out somewhere new, travel, and come see if you like it up here. And we toured BYU, Idaho. And she said Tylee was with friends, and she always is with friends, so I didn't ask any questions about that. And JJ's either doing some type of therapy or with a nanny or in a school that will help him. And so if I didn't see him, I wasn't like asking, where is he? And I've always trusted her, and I had known.
I'm sorry, and again, every person, every family's different. I get that. This part right here where she talks about well, Tylee was with friends and that was normal, and JJ, and I'm just like, but how I don't, and I guess the reason I say I don't believe that is because they sound like they have a much more closer entwined relationship. And so I'm like, okay, maybe one day you go there and the kids aren't there, but after a minute, I'm sorry, like that's not a coincidence. That's so weird. Why wouldn't you be seeing them? Why wouldn't you question that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? I mean, I don't get that. But again, I'm casting a judgment on you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they operate. It could be like, oh no, like that's just how they are. And she might have visited with Lori normally for 3 days and never saw Tylee. I don't know. But it doesn't sound right. For as close as she was to all the members of the family, and I'm just like, how would you not question that. I mean, I'm even thinking my cousin who I was just with, if I went to Texas and the first day it was like, oh, you know, her daughter is at a friend's house. Okay, explain. Cool. And then say I went away and came back. Oh, she's here. Completely weird. Because number one, it would be like, oh, come see Paul. Cousin Paul's in town. You're gonna come see him. Oh, I'm on the phone with him. Here, talk to him. That's the part that's bizarre to me. That doesn't make sense. And that she's like excusing away, right? So, anyways, I'm off on my tangent. We'll keep going.
That they left.
And also, again, I mean, I'm casting judgments based on my own stuff, and I know that we're all different, right? So, I mean, again, I say that because I don't know these people. I'm not there with them. Everybody lives differently. So there's that, but there's just something doesn't add up. And again, it's very similar to these other stories that we're hearing. So anyways, let's keep going.
To Idaho because they were being threatened by people. And I didn't want to ask so many questions, and I didn't know what to do with that. And I just was like there for love and support. What can I do for you? And you don't have to tell me.
So I'm sorry, I can't help myself. They're being threatened by people. I didn't want to ask a bunch of questions about that. Why, what? That's huge. We have 10,000 questions when a family member of yours says, oh, the kids are being threatened by a bunch of stuff, so I put them over here. You don't gloss over that. I mean, now that could be me, right? I'm going to be somebody who I'm going to ask. Okay, I'm like, what? Immediately, huh? Okay, well, who, why, when, where, what would they do? Let me see the text. I want to know. Were you scared? Did you pee in your pants? What happened? Again, this is just, I'm not somebody who's not going to question something like that. Anyways, let's keep going. Yeah, Anne brings up a good point because you didn't want to know the answers. Hey, mostly. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I just want to be there to help you guys.
And so then you moved up later in November. You didn't see the kids at all. And did you think that was a little suspicious, a little weird? I mean, I could understand maybe one day not seeing them or 2 days, but after days and days go by, you don't see the kids. Tyler's chief isn't there. Did you ever ask Lori, hey, where are Tyler and JJ?
So when I moved up that first week in November, Alex helped me move on Halloween night. And we drove up that first week in November with a moving truck. And I was very involved in setting up my home, getting everything for my kids. I did bring all of the things they do need with them, besides, a mattress that had stains on it and some broken toys and outgrown clothes that I left out front. Not all of their belongings. Just I took everything that was important to us and to kind of consolidate into a smaller apartment as well. And I was getting my home ready, and I'm gonna figure out what's going on with the kids and get my kids back here. We're gonna have a fresh start. And Lori is very independent. She's doing her own thing, and she was next door, but I spent most of my time with Alex. Alex was, he'd come over and hang out with me if I was most days were hard and teary with missing my kids, and he would kind of come over and lift me up. And so if I saw Lori, she was still moving in that process and getting situated there. And so I didn't spend a lot of time over there. I did see some of their things, and she had a room set up perfectly for Tylee and JJ, and it didn't seem strange to me. And I knew the threats that she was getting from Kay Woodcock and from others, and I guess I didn't ask questions because I knew that history. I knew what was going on, and I was in my own head. I'm trying to find out where my own kids are.
There's going to be people that say, when we get together with relatives, the talk instantly turns to our kids, soccer games, piano recitals, whatever, that, you can't, there's not a lot else to talk about, other than family. So when you actually would see her, did that sort of conversation ever come up of, I could maybe understand a day or two, but if you're going on weeks and you haven't seen him, like, oh, hey, where's JJ been? Especially because he had.
Notice how he keeps asking that. I'm not crazy, right? I'm going to use the term normal. They lived in the same complex. They were neighbors. She just moved there. The kids should be excited that, what was she, their cousin? That cousin Melanie is here. Sure, one day the kids are busy going to school, this or that. This is so bizarre, and that no conversation is taking place. And I love that Nate keeps asking her.
Has special needs.
Right. Yeah. And so she would tell me things like one of the neighbor boys next door, I forget his name, but she would tell me all his friends and how funny they were. And some people were a little bit, JJ was very high energy, and sometimes he'd be in other people's space. And I think sometimes that bothered some other people. So she would say, well, these are the friends that are just, not judgmental, and they'll just let JJ come in. And she said that he loved his school there. We did. She always talks about her children, but just during that time, I guess, from November to, I guess, the 20th is about when Ian and I started dating. I didn't see them, but I didn't see a lot of Lori. I saw Alex pretty much every day, and anytime I guess would go over, like, well, what's Tyler doing? Oh, she's out with friends, and we're doing everything we can to protect the kids from Kay. Kay's causing a lot of trouble right now, and I didn't really get into too much of what their own custody deal with that was. But to be honest, I'm in my own head and don't know where my own kids are at this point. And as we know, later in November is when I went down to Utah to try to see, what we could work out and where they were at.
And then you guys got married and end of November. Then did you move into Ian's place?
No, so we kind of kept both of our apartments, and I had a lease on mine, and he did also. And so we would sleep at my apartment and set up stuff for Max and Lily over at mine. And I had one extra bedroom. And so we spent most time at my apartment.
When did you guys find out that there was an investigation that JJ and Tylee were missing?
So I'm foggy on this date, but Detective Aramacio and another gentleman had come by to my door while I was moving my stuff in. So this had to have been early in November, I think, probably the second week in November. And I get a knock at the door, and I open it and see police, and I'm like, jumpy because, what is my ex, what's my ex up to? What's the next thing? I don't know where my kids are. Are my kids okay? And he just asked, he said, hey, do you know who lives next door? And I said, yeah, it's, I think Alex's name was on the lease. So sometimes my uncle's over there, sometimes my aunt goes over there, and just, openly. And I didn't know what that was about. And that was it. That was,
Now here's the thing. When asked, do you know who lives next door? Yeah, I think my uncle's name is on the lease, and sometimes so-and-so goes over there, and blah, 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 blah. What? Huh? So remember how when the cops stopped by and we're talking to Chad and Alex, and they're like, oh, we don't have the phone number. We don't really know who's here. This is what I'm talking about, where there's this level of covering up going on. Like, that's not a normal answer. Who lives next door? My aunt. Oh, who's your Aunt Lori? It's very simple. These questions aren't difficult. Secondary thing, did you at least hear the kids? JJ is always, everybody, even her. JJ's into this. He's in your space. He's this and that. You hear kids running around the other house? See anything like that? Any kind of noise? Little kid noise? Nothing. Doesn't question it. Nothing. Right? Okay, let's keep going.
just my first encounter with Rexford police, I guess.
And that's when they said that the kids are missing.
No, not yet. This was early November. So November, right before Thanksgiving, we're driving down to Arizona. Ian was already there, and I was driving down to meet his family and have Thanksgiving with his family. I get a text from Lieutenant Ball that says, somebody's broken into your home. I need you to call me right away. And I'm immediately like, oh great, my ex has sent somebody. I knew he had a private investigator following me, and I immediately think like he sent somebody to come break into my home. That was my first thought, and I didn't know what to text back. I was kind of processing, and then later I texted back and I said, well, I'm with people I love on Thanksgiving, and at least that's what's important. If whatever the heck was taken, I had my emergency cash savings, and I had just a computer, an iPad.
So two things here. First of all, help me out with this. She just said when they are asking about the dates, and she said that was the beginning of November, and then whenever we went to do sounds like towards the end, Thanksgiving. So in my world, I'm like, so you went that long with no like idea where the kids were? Like this was not a question to you? Like there's that. Then this right here, we get a text, somebody's broken into my apartment. Oh, I think it's Brandon. She's not saying Brandon. She says my ex, that's who she's talking about. And she's like, and then I responded back later. Well, Thanksgiving, I'm with everybody who I love, whatever is stolen. What? Now, I'm not saying like drop it, whatever. I mean, like, what? Huh? Buying time is what it sounds like to me. But we already know that Lori and them didn't trust the cops. So, anyways, let's keep going.
An old phone I didn't use, I didn't know what had been taken, but I was like, if my whole apartment is robbed, it's okay. I got everything I need. It's not about things. And then he said, I need you to call me. And then later found out that it was the Rexburg police. They had knocked down my door, and they had taken a lot of my things. And I was kind of felt bothered that was the text I got, but I understand they're just doing investigation. And as soon as I returned after Thanksgiving, I went right into Detective Aramisio, and I just was like, what's going on? And I'm here to get my stuff. And he asked me about, my marriage previously with Brandon and kind of, what I'm doing here, and asked me about Lori and Alex. And I just kind of an open book. Here's what I know. And Lori and Chad had left probably right around when I was going down to Arizona. They packed up and left. And I think it was a planned move. It wasn't a last minute spur, because they had talked about that, hey, we're gonna move to Hawaii at some point, because we talked about they told Ian when they met Ian, have to come visit us in Hawaii sometimes.
Can you see how that looks suspicious though? The timing of them
how it looks suspicious
right in the middle of all of this.
Absolutely, everything looks suspicious. But I knew that they had planned to move then, and I didn't know exactly when they were gonna move. And so many things though look suspicious, of course. And I think having some basis of knowledge on what people had already planned and what's actually going on, it kind of makes it less suspicious to me, I guess.
Where do you guys think JJ and Tylee are?
I don't know, and I've been asked that so many times. And as we know, I've had every fear in the world of what could have happened to them. And I think most of December, after Lori and Chad just disappeared and I didn't have a phone number for them and no contact, I am thinking the worst, because I get a phone call from one of Lori's old friends, and she scares me with a lot of, I think this happened or this could have happened. And I'm having every what if, because I'm like, yeah, I didn't see them the whole time I was up there in November, but I also know and had seen, text messages from Kay and how she was treating Lori after Charles passed away. And I also knew who Lori was though. And Lori's always been somebody with a plan. She's always done everything to protect her kids.
She had a plan, all right.
Up until when my door was broken down and things shifted and I can't talk to Lori and Chad, absolutely, I'm dumping on Ian, hey, what if this happened? What if this happened? And if I have a nightmare about something happening, like, what if this? And it just got dumped all on him. unfairly, as we're newly married, and this just gets thrown in our lap.
We can transition with that into everything that you allegedly told him, or that Ian wrote down. So Ian, can you just kind of explain the background about how this document came to be?
So the whole purpose of the document was to send to Melanie's lawyers so that they knew what I had gone in and told the FBI. So I told Melanie, it was December 19th, I think, that I'd been talking with the police, and a little later I told her I'd been recording her. And when I wrote that document, the whole purpose was, it was after I told Melanie I'd been working with the FBI and the police that I wrote this. The whole idea is to protect her. Her lawyers need to know exactly what I said, how I said it. And that's how I wanted to present it to them, is these are the fears that I shared with them, that Melanie had shared with me, you know, and in that document, I mean, it sounds a lot more affirmative than what I heard. But when I go into the police, I want action, you know, I want this to be over with, basically. So my whole purpose is, you know, I went and I shared with the FBI everything that I heard, everything I was afraid of. You know, I think, you know, at that point, I thought the kids were in danger. I thought there was something, you know, dark and sinister going on. I was afraid. And so things came out when I talked with the FBI in a way that they shouldn't have. And I kind of regret the way I presented it to them, because I feel like it's kind of blown this thing up a lot more than it should have. You know, there wasn't really
Nope, he should have zero regrets. Your gut was absolutely 100% correct. 100% correct. Literally, and if you're new to this case, you know, what he's saying is he's recording her. He's making notes of this whole zombie and gone dark and, you know, castings and all this crazy stuff. And he's going to the FBI, you know, going to the authorities. Here's this, you know, his hunch was right. People were in danger. He was probably in danger. His children were probably in danger.
a whole lot going on until my ex-wife and I went in and spoke with the FBI and the police. And then, you know, a week later, they're starting to put out press releases and all these things. So, you know, I don't know if what we shared acted as a catalyst for that, or if, you know, maybe I'm just full of myself.
Well, but for the casual reader seeing this, there is some shocking stuff in there. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
Chad and Lori apparently told you, Melanie, that JJ and Tylee had been possessed and become zombies, that Alex may have to take care of the kids. Great faith, never wavered in his trust of the Lord. Ian, can you understand that these writings are alarming, you know, concerning, suspicious on all counts?
Yeah, no, I can absolutely see, you know, anybody who doesn't know what's going on.
Thank you for being a member for
they're
a
going to
month.
look at this and go, yeah, this is insane. And at the time I wrote this is something where Brandon and my ex-wife, Natalie, so Brandon contacted my ex-wife, Natalie, and basically shared the idea with her that Melanie's in a cult, Lori's in a cult, Chad's a cult leader. They tried to kill me. They killed Charles. There was this whole plot. And I'm hearing this and I'm going, holy crap, what did I get myself into? And so anything that happens, anything I hear from then on, even if it's something I've heard before, I'm looking at it through the lens of this could be a cult. Something weird is going on. And I'm hearing this right after her door gets kicked in by the Rexburg police and we see a search warrant looking for JJ. And so everything seems really off at that point. And so, you know, I've kind of described it in the past as, you know, like you see a Treehouse of Horrors episode of The Simpsons for Halloween, and you see a dark, you know, a claw, you know, shadow of a claw up on the wall, and then the light comes on, you see it's just a branch scratched around your window. You know, I guess, depending on how you shine the light, there are facts, but then depending on how you shine the flashlight on it, the facts look different. And so the way I'm looking at it when I'm hearing all these things is I'm scared. This, you know, there's a cult, there's, you know, all this going on. And as I looked at it, as you go through the document, you kind of see my thought process of, you know, this is stuff that I'm hearing, this is stuff I'm worried about. And as I continue to look at it, I'm starting to see that there's really nothing proving any of this. There's nothing proving that Tylee and JJ have come to any harm, aside from the fact.
If you're at the point of having to make this list like he's talking about and go to the FBI and actually have the concerns of your newlywed situation, that you, your children, their children, all these people are in danger, I would like to think, I would hope and pray that I was stable enough to run, and I'm talking spray and gravel run out of that situation. Now, complete side note, because the word stable just triggered me to remember this. So you know how I said in the beginning that we were doing a state sale pickup today? Well, the way that they had everything lined up for us, it would be like you get the little ticket and it'd tell you like where like apartment, kitchen is this item, whatever. Well, in the stable area, they had this table set up and they named it the stable table. And so all day long, I had to be like, stable table, stable table. I'm going to the stable table. And I was like, I have said stable table all day long, and it's so satisfying. I absolutely love that. Anyways, let's keep going.
Fact that, you know, I mean,
you got a stable table.
I'm still questioning, why in the world do we not know where the kids are? But as I've, you know, gotten to know Summer and Janice, and heard more about Lori's life and the experience that she's gone through, I'm starting to see, you know, maybe there is some reasoning behind what's going on. I have no clue what's going on, but I know that, you know, Melanie is a good person. I've loved her through this whole thing, you know, and I was never really concerned about her. But in the beginning, I'm like, holy crap, her uncles are into some shady stuff. I need to try to figure out what's going on. I'm going to wear, you know, or I'm going to record their conversations, try to get from point A to point B, get this thing wrapped up and over with so I can move on with my life and my new life.
So Melanie, oh, go ahead, Melanie.
I was going to say, I think it's important to understand where some of these things come from. So initially, when Charles filed for divorce with Lori, he brought a document over to my home with me and Brandon, and we were still, you know, we were still married and everything seemed okay right then. And Charles and Lori, things just went quick. She had found a lot of women on his computer and a lot of purchases and stuff that he had been, you know, purchasing through, I think it was Hollywood Hobbies or something, I can't remember. And she's upset, obviously, and he's somebody that's on the road all the time for his career, similar to what Brandon does for his work. And she found this and, you know, kind of confronted him with it, you know, what is this? And Charles had never said an ill thing about Lori ever, just thought the world of her, just worshipped her. And as soon as she just started asking questions, he flipped. He came over to our house. He said, you know, Lori's crazy. And he showed us this document. And that's the first time I saw these stats, if you will, of, it was from Charles. And he said, I found this. And it said, it's been posted all over, right? And it's, you know, so something about Lori or Tylee being dark and JJ being light. And I'm like, you know, trying to process all of this. You know, what does this mean? And he came over saying, hey, Lori doesn't think I'm me. She thinks I'm Ned or something. And I'm, you know, what do you take from all that? I don't understand
for
what's
6
going
months
on.
down
It just felt off. I'm like, what's going on here? And, you know, Lori wasn't telling everybody in our family, hey, Charles has been cheating on me. She was keeping it to herself, dealing with it, trying to keep it between just her and Charles.
Thank you, Dwayne, for being a member for 14 months.
He started emailing everybody in the family, and then he took JJ away, and he's like, Lori, you're never going to see JJ again. You're crazy. And it's these patterns of narcissism where, you know, everything's fine until you start asking questions. I mean, I didn't see the same exact pattern happen with my ex-husband. Everything was fine. He thought the world of me until I asked some questions he was uncomfortable answering. And instead of saying, hey, you know, these things, here's an explanation for this, he turned on me and he said, Melanie, I'm going to take the kids away from you. You're crazy. I'm going to get you excommunicated from the church, and you're never going to see your kids again. And that's just from asking, hey, what's this video I found, right? What are these text messages? And so many things. And I don't know, it was like watching Charles unravel first, then Brandon did the same exact thing, and then it's just these patterns, and I'm like, you just can't like make this stuff up. It's the same exact thing happening over and over again. And you know, Lori just moved on, and you know, she didn't play any of Charles's games, and he eventually he's back and forth. Hey, I want to be back together with you, Lori, and then he'd say, you know, your end's coming soon. Just tons of threats. And so the day he came to the house, Summer said, hey, Alex, will you go over and, Charles has been kind of aggressive and, acting crazy. He's going to go over there to get JJ. Will you just go over there just in case something happens? And as you see, something did happen. And I know they're trying to change that whole investigation now to make it look like Lori had something planned or Alex did, but there's no doubt in my mind about that shooting. Brandon went and ran with that story to his advantage. He pulled me into the garage, and he and my Uncle Adam said, Charles has been murdered by Alex. And just finding this out, I'm like, it doesn't feel right, but I'm like, there's got to be something more to this.
I mean, y'all, it's just when you listen to it, it's so crazy to re-listen to these, y'all. It's like, because when it first came out, it's obviously, I mean, it's insane to listen to, right? But then now that we know all that we know, and listening to her talk, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, so much more was going on beneath the surface with this, with her, with Ian, the whole 9 yards. And again, it's just, I honestly think she takes literally every bit of her playbook from Lori, and just whatever Lori says is, that's it. Hey Tori, how's it going? No worries. I hope you had a good one. Come here, Sam. And again, imagine, I don't know how, I don't know all the inner workings of the situation, but I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here thinking, you go to work with FBI or taking it, whatever it was Ian was doing. No. If you're sitting here being concerned about that stuff, I was about to say in the beginning of a relationship, doesn't matter when, right? But especially the beginning, because you're not like sucked into the relationship too much. Like that was entered enough to be like, oh, wait a minute. Like all this random like death is happening around her and her family. And she's talking about, I want to have your kids over for the weekend. No, 100% no. I honestly do believe that his kids and Melanie's for sure, and then possibly his, would not be here if this group had gone unchecked. Thank you for the gifted membership, Sandy. I really do believe that. I mean, I believe that about a lot of people. That they were going to be the next, right? There was going to be no bounds, no limitness to what she was capable of. And when I say she, I'm really meaning the group, like her, Alex, Chad, the whole group that was doing this. Yeah, no, right. Can you imagine what? Again, I don't know his family and stuff like that. Imagine your family, you telling them, I recorded a bunch of stuff and took it to the FBI about it, like, being like, remember Melanie from Thanksgiving? Oh yeah, she's real sweet girl. Real sweet girl. How's she doing? Well, I actually just left the FBI's office. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine that. And again, and I'm talking about Ian, his ex-wife with the kids, whatever kind of custody, honey, my kids go there, spend the weekend. Again, I don't know what it's like now or whatever, but in the context of what we've seen in this case and whatnot, kids go there for the weekend. I'm not sleeping. Okay. I'm talking. There's no way I would be on such pins and needles. There's absolutely no way I can handle that. And I'm assuming that they have some kind of split custody at this point of some sort, right? It's just, And I think that's one thing too with this particular end of it. It's you know, again, if you're new to this and watching, this is why the whole thing about Brandon Boudreaux, I'm just like, nobody was supposed to know where he was living, right? And I think he was being pretty good about that. Yeah, Teresa's always supervised. Yeah, I mean, even like now, like so pretend that maybe Melanie's come out of the whatever. I don't know, right? Oh yeah. I mean, just there's. I mean, I would be a wreck. I would be a wreck. Oh my gosh. So this is what we're gonna do because I gotta run because I'm getting honestly, I'm about ready to fall asleep. The day has caught up with me. So here's schedule. Tomorrow morning, we're going to do Stephen Stern's, same channel over here, get caught up with the last hearing, etc., etc. Thursday night, we're going to be back here, same time, same place, and either finish, I think there's like maybe another part or two to these interviews, finish these, but there's other interviews that Melanie's done. We're just going to slowly work our way through some of the stuff that is prevalent to the upcoming Lori and Brandon Boudreaux case, and then kind of go from there. So tomorrow morning, and please hold, I'll tell you when, please hold, your call is important to me. At the end of the customer service agent call, are you interested in doing a brief survey? Okay, so tomorrow, 9 a.m. at Stephen Stern's. We're going to be rewatching well, when I say rewatch, I just said so people know what it is because many of you might have seen it. We're going to be watching, for me, the first time, pardon me, his last court appearance. So, let's see what's going on. So, that being said, yeah, I'm like really ready to fall out. So, I'm gonna call it an evening. Thank you, moderators, for hanging out, for making it possible. Thank you, Sofa Squad, for hanging out, make it possible. I hope that everybody has a lovely rest of your evening. I hope that everybody's Wednesday, midweek day is amazing. I will see some of you here at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then some of you I won't. But we're going to listen to Slow Morrison's little outro to do a palate cleanse of the BS that we've just listened to, right? So that's it. It's so good to hang out again. I feel like I've literally missed you. This has been so much fun. I've missed hanging out with you on a daily basis while we were watching Justice for Charles Vallow. But that's it. I love y'all. Have a great evening. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Sofa Squad. I will see y'all in the morning.
The pillows are fluff thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough. Join the family. It's all love while we laugh at Perp's criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please. The puppies need me. Oh, oh, please. My body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup and hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Puppies need me, oh please. My body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.